It is thought that across the country, 60% of us have experienced mental health issues due to our work. Last year, over 12 million working days were lost as a result, costing the economy billions of pounds.
The sort of challenges people face today are more complex than they were even a relatively short time ago, in jobs that have no clear boundaries around them, with people who frequently feel overloaded, sometimes to the point of feeling overwhelmed.
It was really exciting to start my job as a management consultant. All of a sudden you're walking around boardrooms and solving these really big corporate problems and travelling all over the world. The hours are long, so you normally would leave home around like 6:30 in the morning, and at times you would be eating dinner in the office at 9 p.m. and wouldn't get home till gone midnight. But this sort of kind of compulsion to achieve and to prove that you can do everything and be superwoman just got hold of me. Eventually my body and my mind took a toll, and by the beginning of November I was just ready to crash.
I see people who've wandered down a very long pathway that's taken them from optimum well-being, health, energy, all the way very gradually down to a place where it's become much more serious.
For Richard, an employment lawyer, his own demanding workload would result in life-changing consequences.
Things really snapped, I suppose, in 2011. We'd gone away for a holiday over half term. We were driving back around the periphery south of Paris, and suddenly I felt really, really ill. The only thing I could think of was I needed to get out of that situation. So I just started walking off across lots of lanes of traffic until somebody stopped me and said, "What are you doing?" To which I replied, "I don't know." They took me to hospital, assessed me for a heart attack, and the next day I went to see my GP, who said, "Yeah, that's not your heart, that's your brain."
Richard's crash would eventually escalate to thoughts of taking his own life.
The pain of anxiety, just feeling unable to get through a day, meant that there were times when I thought, I can't do this. I never got as far as planning anything. You don't want to tell people around you, your loved ones, etc., because that will scare them and they'll be so upset and all the rest of it. But on the other hand, they're the very people that need. On the other hand, they're the very people who need to know in order to be able to protect you.
In the Square Mile, London's financial district, the City of London Police have launched joint patrols with NHS mental health workers to help better support those facing mental health issues.
We're going out on shift now, the van's ready to go out. We'll go to any incident, but if there's a mental health incident, we will go to that with our crew. Thank you.
The scheme was set up by Police Inspector Mark Montgomery, inspired by his own challenges with mental health.
The mental health street triage team is basically made up of one vehicle, 2 PCs and a mental health care practitioner in the car with them. When I first suggested the idea of the street triage, it was looked on a little bit of bewilderment because no one really sort of knew what it was. But in the end, we got where we needed to be, and now it's like a full steam ahead because of the results that we've been getting is absolutely fantastic.
Police have been called to a place in the city. There is a worker that seems to be having a mental health crisis.
The triage team also help reduce time police have traditionally spent dealing with mental health cases by providing expert guidance, often at critical moments.
I come from the NHS.
Yes.
So is it all right if we go and sit down somewhere, yeah? So you've got the whole team really, you've got the police and the NHS all in one.
My own experience of mental health just makes me appreciate it that little bit more. And when I interact with people at hospitals and things like that I go to quite regularly, it's nice to be able to then turn around and say to me, your officers came to me when I needed them most and they've put me in a position now where I can access the care that I need. To hear that is great.
For Mark, the success of the scheme is a sign of how attitudes are changing in the city. It's a change that the Samaritans have also seen.
We've seen a sea change in the attitude within the City of London. A lot of firms started looking at what the cost was to them and how could they turn it around and how could they cut costs, but also how can they make this more positive, how can they support their staff better. And those original companies that started doing that, we've worked with really closely, and we've been able to see there's a change. It feels different now. It feels like there are people there that are able to actively listen. So what we want to do now is try and increase the number of companies where that is happening.
It's not events that causes our problems, it's how we respond to them, it's how we see them.
Following his own experience, Richard has since left the legal profession. He joined Burn Dean, an organisation committed to improving workplace culture when it comes to mental health.
So I trained as an instructor to help people in workplaces help everybody understand what mental health is about and where to go and get help, and to encourage people to get help as quickly as possible. Although I do work harder now than I probably should do, not as hard as I used to as a lawyer, but the fact that I have a strong sense of purpose in what I do means that it's much more manageable.
Despite her own challenges, Paola is planning to return to work soon, but she's doing so with a very different perspective.
I thought that my job was very important until I got pregnant and I gave birth to my baby girl, and all of a sudden just perspective hits you. And also to think about what is she going to be experiencing as she grows up? Is she going to experience this mum that is relentlessly running around, or is she going to see somebody that has got more to her than her job? Ultimately, that individual that burnt out is still there. I can be my own worst enemy, and I just need to continue to watch that as I continue to grow in my career.
For Dr. Bill Mitchell, it's that balance which is so important.
Every now and again, I hear the voice of my personality and I take a different road. And that's just fantastic. That's recognizing the vulnerability. It's recognizing the tendency to take more responsibility and deliberately taking another path. And that's negotiating with yourself to get to a much more rounded way of dealing with the pressures we're under.